If the first of a month falls on a Sunday, the 13th day will be a Friday. Friday the 13th. This happens at least once in a year, but can occur up to 3 times in a year. For example, in 2023, 13 January and 13 October have the spooky honor of falling on a Friday. Superstition has it that Friday the 13th is an unlucky date where misfortune and bad things happen. Pop culture has also pushed the narrative by releasing horror movies and TV series themed around Friday the 13th. The iconic franchise, Friday the 13th, starring Jason Voorhees, was first released in 1980. 11 sequels and a reboot later, the 13th movie, Friday the 13th, The Awakening, comes out on, wait for it, Friday 13 October. October is considered the spooky season with Halloween and all. Usually horror movies are released in October and TV programming tends to have some sort of horror or Halloween special where all movies with things that go bump in the night are featured. Now, what is it about horror movies that some people find appealing? Growing up, I was a sensitive soul with a nervous disposition and an active imagination. This one time, I stayed up to watch the TV series Jack the Ripper. I woke up the whole house in the dead of the night, screaming that there was a headless corpse in my bed. My mom had to change the linen and remake the bed before I could be convinced it was safe to go back to sleep. Naturally, after that, I stayed away from anything scary or violent. I'd even become attuned to when such things would happen, the fading and swelling of the soundtrack, spooky drum beats, and of course the worst of it was usually punctuated by a heartbeat rhythm. Lip-dip, lip-dip. Later, as I grew older, I realized that the things I saw when I looked away and imagined what was happening were actually scarier than if I simply kept watching. So I stopped hiding behind a pillow when a scary or violent scene came on and faced my fears, which didn't turn out to be so bad, sometimes even funny. No surprises that I find horror novels more spine-chilling than movies because of what plays out in my head. Shout out to Stephen King and Dean Koontz, and of course the Goosebumps series by R.L. Stine that led me down that path. I acquired a morbid fascination for the horror genre. Name a movie and I've probably watched it at least once. Younger me would be surprised at how I turned out. Why do we watch horror movies? According to Stephen King's essay, Why We Crave Horror Movies, getting to watch the insanity and depravity on the movie screen allows us to release our inner insanity, which in turn keeps us sane. He writes that watching horror movies allows us to let our emotions have little to no reign at all, and that is something we don't always get to do in everyday life. I think we're all mentally ill. Those of us outside the asylums only hide it a little better, and maybe not at all that much better after all. Stephen King on Why We Crave Horror. I don't know about you, but for me it's the adrenaline rush from the jump scares that have your heart missing a bit, plus there's an escape in watching someone else, however fictional, go through nightmarish things that make me feel like no matter how much my life sucks, I am not them. My brother has an interesting theory that someone who likes hot, spicy food is likely to love horror movies. I love my hot sauce, and of course, I'm a horror movie fan. What about you? Feel free to drop a comment about your relationship with horror movies, novels, and spicy hot sauce.